Welcome to Scary Stories, the channel that tells you scary stories.
Welcome to Scary Stories NYC, the channel with scary stories for kids that YouTube keeps demonetizing for no reason. I'm your old pal, Bigfoot. Speaking of kids, today's story is by a father concerned about his son, who apparently keeps seeing something he describes as a dogman. Let's jump right into the tale, which is quite logically called, My Son Thinks He's Seeing a Dogman. Dear Scary Stories NYC, as you can tell from the title of my email, my son thinks he's seeing a dogman on the grounds of our house in the suburbs. We have a patch of woods between our home and the neighbors, and he thinks the dogman either lives there or comes from there. That seems pretty impossible to me because it's an isolated patch of trees. It's not connected to any larger woods. My son counters this argument by saying the dogman either lives underground or teleports into those woods from wherever he actually lives. I don't want to insult the boy, but that seems pretty crazy to me and my wife, so we've put him into therapy. His therapist keeps telling me that my son is perfectly normal and that there's nothing wrong with pretending to see monsters. But he gets made fun of because of it by the other kids at school, except for the weird kids, who are now his best friends. Not that I have anything against weird kids, but he used to have a much wider group of friends, and now he doesn't. It's not just that he says he's seeing dogman. He's seeing these sort of magical and impossible dogmen that do things real animals can't do. I think kids are led to believe too many really strange and silly things these days by deranged blue checkmark people on social media, and I'm putting my foot down about the dogman. The reason I'm writing to you is that you seem to be one of the only dogman channels that doesn't say dogman is real. I respect that you present the stories as stories and don't get involved with claiming something is real that you cannot prove. At first, what he told me really concerned both me and my wife. He said there was a werewolf outside his window at night. Obviously, that's something no parent wants to ever hear. We didn't think the werewolf part was real, but we were worried that someone really was prowling around at night. We set up security cameras outside the house, and so far, they have only gotten video of rabbits and squirrels and one of our neighbor's dogs that we wish they wouldn't let wander around. No dogman, though. That didn't stop my son from claiming the dogman was still there, though. One night, he screamed to wake us up and come see the dogman outside his window. When we got into the room, there was nothing there, and he said when the dogman saw us coming, he blinked out of existence. I asked him, "Do you mean the dogman disappeared in a puff of smoke or a flash of light?" And he said, "No, it just blinked out." So I guess he means that it disappeared like a jump cut in an old episode of Bewitched or I Dream of Jeannie. Not even any fancy expensive special effects, just there 1 second and gone the next. At that point, my wife and I figured these must be waking nightmares, since up to that point they only happened at night. Maybe he was still partially asleep and seeing things. It's not all that uncommon. The situation worsened, however, when my wife reported to me that he ran into the house one afternoon claiming a dogman had chased him home from school. How could a dogman chase him home from school with no other kids seeing the monster? And why does his therapist continue to claim that this is normal behavior? I was curious if you would know if there's any traditional way to rid your home of dogman. I'm not saying I believe in the monster. I'm just saying that sometimes a ritual can work well to convince the subconscious that a remedy has been effected. What would you advise? My wife thinks we should call a ghost hunting team. I've asked a local priest if he can perform an exorcism, but he says that the boy does not sound possessed. He sounds more like he's haunted. I'm at my wit's end and really could use any advice at all. The situation has all three of us unhappy and not knowing what to do. Thank you in advance for any ideas you might have. Okay, well, Dad, you're right in saying that we don't claim to have any information about werewolves or dogmen and that we are storytellers, not researchers. I personally am agnostic about everything, as I was told to be by John A. Keel when I was much younger. He said once you start believing things, then you can be manipulated and even driven crazy. We are also not psychiatrists or therapists, so we cannot offer advice in that department either. All I can say is that if I were you, I'd find out who the local Native American elders are in your area. A number of them have traditions about creatures like the one your son is describing, and they might have more insight than I could possibly provide. Again, as you suggested earlier, performing a ritual can work sometimes, even if the person does not believe in the tradition that the ritual comes from. It can affect the subconscious mind, as you mentioned. Maybe there's something that can be done by someone like that, or some advice that they can give you. In the meantime, I wish your family luck, and will leave you with this one tiny bit of advice. Sometimes a problem is made worse by worrying about it. Sometimes treating a molehill like a mountain will only make it grow. Maybe if you accepted that this is your son's reality, then it might go away and no longer remain his reality. We can experience painful things in our lives, but when we get upset about the painful thing, the upset can become a bigger issue than the initial pain. I wish you good luck and hope this situation resolves itself quickly for the sake of all of you. Coming up next, we have phone calls from our viewers. This is an all-viewer submission episode, and it starts right after this. And now, get ready for an all-new, completely uncensored, slightly bloody, and absolutely terrifying new Dogman story. Oh, wait. YouTube won't allow me to tell you stories like that on this channel. If you want to hear that, you're going to have to go to peterbernard.com and sign up for our paid subscribers club. You can choose any price you can afford for a 1-month subscription, and then every weekend, we tell you a story YouTube would never allow us to tell you on this channel. See you this Sunday for an all-new, very scary, completely uncensored Dogman story. Here's a caller. He's calling with advice for some of the rest of you who have submitted stories to us. He thinks he knows stuff that you should know, and he's here to pass it on to you. So take it away.
Hello, my name is Dallas. Let me say, huge fan of your show. Let me also say that I find some of the stories more believable than others, and yet I do get permission to use this recording on your show. To the woman who fell head over heels for the creature that saved her butt from being killed by the stalker while jogging, don't go chasing after it, please, for the sake of your safety. If you do go pursuing it, view it from afar, because from what I've read about them, they can turn aggressive really quick if you do something incredibly stupid. God bless you. Now, to the young woman, well, let's just say that I am sorry you lost your friend. And I'm sorry that that going through this means that you're pretty much stuck with it for the rest of your life. But it's probably a good idea, and other people probably already said this, not to tell people that you can actually make the change. Because by doing this, you can either end up locked up in a nut house or as someone's science experiment, or you can end up dead. If you think I am some kind of nut job, young lady, and you want to send me a voicemail telling me to piss off, my number is, I live in the Virginia area. Hello, this is Dallas Field again. And yes, I do grant permission to use this recording on the program. I'm calling back to apologize to the young lady who claims to have scared the living daylights out of her friend by turning into said creature. My behavior and choice of words were uncalled for, and for that, I am sorry. I hope you can forgive me one day, and in case you do, my number is to the gentleman who was a bodybuilder and got knocked on his butt by said wolf creature. Well, you are fortunate that your buddy was there and decided to hit it with a car for the second time. A lot of times when people confront these creatures by accident or on purpose, it almost never ends well. So, be safe, and God bless. And remember, don't run from them, don't show aggression, just keep calm, look away, keep calm, keep your head down, and let them leave first. Bye.
Here's our favorite caller. She's called back again with another story. She calls all the time, and she left 2 other stories we haven't even had a chance to run. I don't have a problem with the stories. I just haven't had a chance to run them. So here she is with her brand new one. It's really awesome. Take it away.
Hello, it's me again. I hope I didn't offend you guys with them other stories because you never played them. I'm getting ready to do something here that I always swore I'd never be able to do. I'm going to go public with my childhood UFO story that spans many years of my life. When I was 6, my sisters had gone to the store, and I'm sitting out on the front stoop. You know, it's in the summer. I'm just looking around. All of a sudden, I hear this low drone hum. And I look up above me. I see a ship coming. And it's going real slow, and it stops right above the Slayton's house right across the street. And it looks like polished brass. It looks like probably a scout ship. Probably hold maybe 8 to 10 aliens, astronauts, whatever. And it had red strobe lights that went around the center. And it was Even though it looked like it wasn't moving that fast, it was like a hummingbird because you could see the propellers underneath it. I know it was spinning like a top. I couldn't figure out how it could be so light and still be moving like that and still be still. Well, my sisters about that time were coming up the street. They're almost to the house. And I'm yelling at them. I'm saying, look, UFO, UFO. And they start walking faster to get to the house. My sister's looking at me. I know she's going to want to grab me and drag me in the house. All of a sudden, it starts to float again. It gets right above my head, and it takes me up. I start screaming for my sisters to help me. I see Norma drop the bag of groceries. She puts her hands to her face and starts screaming. Rita is just frozen like she's in shock. And I'm going so slow. It's so weird. It was like I was in an invisible elevator. And I go up. I can see the blades spinning around. I can smell the exhaust. I can feel the heat on my face. Well, the floor closed up under my feet. All of a sudden, I was raised up in the air. It was like a chair. It came straight out of the floor. I couldn't figure out how that happened. I just came through that floor. And when I come back down, I'm laying flat on like a chaise lounge. They tilt it back. And I'm looking at this thing, and it's silver, and it's flowing. It's rippling like it's liquid. And these cuffs come right out of the arms of the chair, and they cuff on my wrist. And I'm kicking and screaming to beat the band. All of a sudden, these cuffs come out at the bottom part of the chair. They strap my ankles, and they're talking to me through their minds, telling me they're not going to hurt me. There's 3 grays in front of me, and there's one guy that was so tall that he was having to stoop over, and he looked albino, and he had eyes as large as the grays, but they were a pale, clear blue, and he had big knots on his head and long patches of strawberry blonde hair. And his arms looked like they were almost dragging the floor. And he had long fingers and long nails. And he's talking to me through my mind saying, we're not going to hurt you. You're going to be okay. And I'm not listening to this. I'm screaming and I'm screaming. Well, one of the Grays comes up with a pair of tweezers and a little square red thing, and it looks like it's metal. He hands it to the albino. He hands it to one of the Grays. And they're telling me it's going to hurt a little. Yeah. He put it straight up my left nostril and straight up into my skull. It felt like my face was exploding. There was blood pouring out of my left nostril. And I was throwing up blood. I mean, it was bad. It was pretty dang bad. I guess I passed out at that point. I have no recollection whatsoever being brought back. I completely forgot about it for years. Me and my sisters, we never had a discussion about it. It was like the day never even happened. Well, Dina was probably a year old. And one night, they came in to my house, and they took me out of my bedroom. They took me up in the same ship as before. And they took me up to the mothership, which was just right on the outskirts of Earth. And they said, we have something to show you. And they told me I couldn't touch them. I couldn't even breathe around them because their systems were so delicate that I would kill them. But I could look at them and touch the glass. And here came in all these kids. They were various ages. I would say from about 19 down to about 2. And then they tell me there's 3 others that are in the incubator. So how many is that? At least 15. They got me pregnant so many times. They had to take my uterus out when I was 27. And I'm looking at these children of mine, and they've got my dark hair, and it's long. And they just keep touching the glass and looking at me and getting closer. And you could tell they were getting emotional, and I was getting emotional. And I started crying. I just couldn't stop crying. I knew they were my babies, and I could never, ever have them in my life. And I asked them, how could you do something so cruel and so vicious? I don't know you. I've never done anything to anybody. And that's when they told me the same cliche that people keep telling you in the movies and in the books. They had an understanding, like it was like an oral contract. They give them technology. We give them children because their race is dying out. They tried to come down here and live as they are. They tried other places. Wherever they go, they're dying. It's like they were living on that ship, what was left of their area of people anyway, and they had started their own city, the ship. And they only let me see limited areas, basically like taking me down a long hall straight to the nursery area. Not where the babies were, but where they kept all of them. They had to have round-the-clock care because of their systems. I guess they're just as delicate, someone in the last stages of age. And I asked him if I would ever be able to have a relationship with them or ever hold them in my arms. They told me someday I would be able to. Well, I thought someday, yeah, but in the meantime I go on with my life. And started back up again. I got a visit when we were living over off of Shaw Avenue and West Side. And I started waking up with cuts on me, long cuts, like someone was taking a scalpel to me. And first my husband thought I was scratching myself. You can't. Well, there's no mistaking the two, whether you're cut with a blade or you're scratched with a nail. It went on for weeks. After a while, he's asking me, sweetie, what's going on? I'm like, I really don't know, but I'm really scared. When they had me on the ship, that's what they did to me. They took scalpels to my legs. They took them to my arms. They took skin samples. They took hair samples. I don't know what else they took inside of me. I couldn't figure out why come back and see me when I can't give you anything. I mean, I'm empty now. Why come back? I honestly don't know. I don't know why it suddenly stopped and they never came back. But that's my story, and I hope you can do something with this. It took a lot of guts for me to tell this. Because at first I thought you guys were believing me, and then after a while I thought maybe you thought I was some kind of nut job. I'm one of those families you guys hear about that's had supernatural, paranormal, weird things happen to them their whole life. But it gets really upsetting and frustrating when nobody can remember anything but me. Because my sisters have no memory of that first day. I don't remember anything. They believe me. They know I went and was, just saying something stupid out of nowhere and people just thinking I'm an idiot. If you guys ever want me to take a lie detector test on this story, I'll gladly do it. I'll take a bus up there, or I'll have my husband drive me up because I don't drive anymore. And I'll take a test. All I got to say is God bless you all. I hope you can use the story, and I hope you have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this, please click like or consider subscribing. Remember to click the bell icon or you won't get notifications. If you want to listen to Bigfoot's secret uncensored story each Sunday, just go to peterbernard.com and become a paid subscriber. See you tomorrow. Same dog time, same dog channel.
Come back for more scary stories.